And welcome back to the Press Start Podcast. This is episode 18, and I'm your host, Vic, aka Mr. Never Chillin', and I'm joined today, this week, by my absolutely amazing co-host, Roger.
Hey guys, how you doing today?
So, what have you been playing, man? It's been a busy week of gaming and stuff like that. And I know
I played. Yeah, sorry. I played. Been playing some WoW. Finally got the raid done. I did it on normal. Finally done. Beat Sylvanas. Kind of ready for the next expansion. We're able to play some Valorant this week. That was all right. Little stressful this week for some reason. Just players seem a lot better. Just
right.
So the game seemed a lot more stressful. Yeah. Been playing some. I ended up beating the Call of Duty Cold War campaign this past week.
Mm-hmm.
Actually kind of enjoyed it. It was super fun. I liked that there were multiple endings to the game, depending on the choices that you made. I did like the fact that I could make choices. The campaign felt a little short, but it was fun. For a Call of Duty campaign, I had a ton of fun. I had an actual ton of fun on it. Other than that, been playing some visual novel games. And how about you, Vic? What have you been up to?
Man, what have I been? Stream knows, man. I've been busy gaming a lot. Whew, I tell you, man, as you alluded to, we've been playing a lot of Valorant. We actually got on Splitgate. A lot of us been hopping on Splitgate. That's been a lot of fun. It's really just Halo with Portal, but with Call of Duty gunplay. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's really familiar. Like, they basically have the same modes as Halo, like Team SWAT, Shoddy Snipers, like the normal, like, fun game modes to play, Oddball, VIP, stuff like that. So it's definitely a lot of fun. And there's also a new game mode they just added. It's called Teabag. So you get points by teabagging people you kill. It's hilarious. So, but nonetheless,
yeah, I did see the kill confirm.
Yeah, kill confirm teabagging people. It's hilarious. I love it. It's something different though. It's something creative too. But
it embraces the community, really.
Exactly.
You know, the teabag was born in Halo.
Exactly. But on to some single player games though. I just recently beat the Outer Worlds about a week ago actually, and then just beat Omno a couple days ago, and then I started and beat 12 pretty quick. That was a really fun game. That was a game that just dropped. It's on Game Pass, Xbox exclusive, so I definitely highly recommend that. I did just start Death's Door today. As stream knows, I streamed about an hour of it. That game is already playing out to be really well, and I see why it's in talks for Game of the Year. It just, everything in that game just makes sense. Like, it is a really polished game. Everything, all the mechanics make sense. The combat's fun. It's a little bit challenging at times. So overall, I'm super excited to play through that game. But nonetheless, man, let's get into our topics this week. We definitely have a lot to get into, given that Gamescom was just the other day. Basically, we're going to start off with Destiny 2. Their showcase, they revealed the Witch Queen. What was your thoughts on this, and will you be willing to give Destiny 2 a try or come back to it based off of this update or expansion?
I honestly, I don't know if it's on Game Pass for PC right now. If it was, yes, I'd give it a try as long as the DLC is included, but it's not enough to really bring me back. All we got was a cinematic trailer about 1 minute and 30 seconds long. It wasn't really anything crazy. It's just like, another big bad. Here we go. It looks like it's essentially just like a necromancer, if you will. She's just a giant necromancer. She's bringing people back to life, even if their corpses are like blown to pieces. She's like regenerating them. So I guess the idea is maybe you'll be fighting a lot of enemies over and over and over again. They keep coming back to life. It looks cool, but I've never been a real big fan of Destiny. Never really took the time to play it. Destiny 2, that is. I played Destiny, the original game, but Destiny 2, if it's free on Game Pass, sure, I'd give it a try. But otherwise, I don't think I'm really going to go to it. What about you, Vic?
Yeah, so this one looked pretty cool. I mean, I haven't played Destiny 2 probably since its launch, and I played through the campaign and beat it. But this might be something I go back and check on, because there's been a lot of expansions for Destiny 2. I think they're up to 3 or 4 expansions, and I haven't played any of them. And I kind of did the same thing with Destiny 1, where I played and beat the first one, played multiplayer for a while, stopped playing Destiny. Missed all the expansions, then I bought a complete edition and was like, all right, I'm gonna give Destiny a try again. And I really enjoy their expansions. Like, I feel like they hone in, they make the experience unique and different enough where it's fun and challenging and these expansions. So maybe with Destiny 2, since I missed 3 or 4 expansions already, I can go back and play through all of those and experience the story. That's one thing about Destiny. They're big on lore. They're big on storytelling. Like, it's really deep in Destiny. And if you don't follow along and understand what's going on, you're gonna be like, who's this person? And then what does this mean? Or anything like that. So, like, if you're not into Destiny, it can be a bit confusing, but that's the point of this game. They made a real world, like something that you can live in that you can really enjoy. So I like that about it.
Yeah.
But with the Witch Queen though, it looks pretty cool because like the enemies have different like sub archetypes like you do, whether it's like void or some solar and stuff like that. So each enemy is going to have their own abilities, and they have like their own ghosts as well. Because they're like they look different, but they're like ghosts, just the same. So I was like, oh, okay, that's different. So get some ghosts and whatnot. So I'm excited to see that. Maybe I'll go back and check it out because Destiny 2 has become free to play, but their expansions is where they make their money now, and obviously from their store, you can buy skins and all of the other stuff like every other game. So maybe I can go back and give it a try because I think it should be on Game Pass with Witch Queen. But
All right.
yeah, but overall it looks pretty good though. But enough of Destiny. Let's move on to our Xbox Gamescom showcase recap. There was a lot of news, but it was like a lackluster showing away. One of the big highlights was Forza Horizon 5. I know you're super excited for it. What did you think of the controller that they revealed?
Honestly, I'll tell you like I tell you every time. I don't really care for the controllers.
You're not a controller guy.
It's not what I'm here for. I'm not a peripherals guy. Like, cool, whatever. You released a limited edition controller, but like, I'll be honest. I prefer a PlayStation controller. It just interfaces better with a PC. It's just more user friendly. Whereas an Xbox controller, you need a standalone, a standalone wireless receiver.
No, not anymore. They have
unless
Bluetooth
you're using,
into them. They have Bluetooth now.
Okay, and the new ones.
Even Xbox One controllers had Xbox One and halfway through the generation.
Okay.
Yeah, so it made it super easy.
So like maybe it's worthwhile to get one now, but like I still have a controller that works just fine. So to me, I don't need to go out of my way to get one because they're okay, but they're not what they're. If I'm gonna spend my money, I'm gonna buy a game and not a controller.
Right. We're opposites here. You know, everybody knows me. I'm the controller collector with this generation because I feel like I always out back in the day was like, yo, they had so many dope controllers for Xbox. Xbox has always been known to have those limited edition controllers. And this one, when it came on screen, I was like, oh, I need it. I need it right away. And guess what? I pre-ordered it an hour later. So I'll have it. It comes out like September or November or something like that. I forget when it comes out, but I'm getting it just like the AquaShift controller. I'm getting that one that comes out. That'll be at my doorstep September 2nd. So super excited for these controllers. It's always cool to just have like a centerpiece. Like people come in and like, yo, that controller's dope. It's like legitimately a gamer centerpiece.
Okay. I get what you're going for. You're using them, just sort of like I use art. I have art on my walls. It's a talking piece. That's fair. I feel at some point there's just too many controllers. It's just what is the need for all of them? But it does look interesting. If you're looking for a new controller, definitely check out the new Forza controller. It's pretty cool looking. But how about you, Vec? What do you think about the gameplay trailer we just got?
I mean,
how did that look to you?
It kind of looked me away, man. Like we already know, like Forza Horizon 5 is breaking boundaries of like how can games look. It looks so realistic, and basically what we saw in this trailer is that's the beginning of the game. They're going to drop you into the volcano, basically, and you're racing down the volcano, and you're going from scene to scene and exploring all the different biomes, because we know that there's like 12, 15 different biomes, different type areas. So it's like, that's a way to introduce the game. This is what you're about to explore. I'm going to give it to you all at once, and then you get to explore all throughout your time through the story mode, because this game will actually have like a legitimate story mode that you can follow.
Yeah, no, it definitely looked super cool. I'm excited about some of the new cars that are coming out in it. I'm really excited to see the tuning and being able to, kind of build the car how you want to build it. But you have on here. What are your thoughts on the cover car, Vic?
I think it's pretty cool. I mean, it's awesome to see the new Bronco come into a Forza game. The Bronco was just re-released for the first time since O.J. Simpson back in the day when he made the. Like, everybody knows that story and that image alone.
Yeah.
But that the new Bronco looks pretty cool. But they do also have like the new Corvette Stingray on there, the new Porsche 911 Desert Flyer in there. So they all look pretty cool, and I just love how like these cars look so realistic, and there's so many choices to choose from. Like, if whatever car you can think of, it's probably going to be in that game. And it's cool that you can customize it and literally tune it out. Like, if you were tuning a car in real life, like however you want to make your car, that's how it's going to be in that game.
Yeah, no, it's meant to be a realistic car simulator as opposed to things like Need for Speed, which are more just for fun.
Yeah,
this is for the car enthusiasts, just like people who like Microsoft Flight Simulator. This is there for the people who care about the cars.
Can't wait to cover that a little bit later.
Yeah, and we can cover Flight Simulator next here, but so in this, devs are releasing a community lab, an events lab. So Vic, can you tell us a little bit more about this events lab?
Yeah, so the events lab basically is like Forge from Halo, but in Forza. You get to create like any kind of map or anything. Like, an example is like there was big ass bowling pins on the map that you can like knock down as a team, or like pinatas that you can run over and stuff like that. But it's just like the devs are apparently nervous in a way to see what the potential is of this game mode, because it's basically endless. I don't know how many assets that they threw into this game mode, but they're basically saying, here's like GTA on crack with Halo Forge and go have fun. That's what I'm saying from it. And it's really exciting though, because like you're taking a game that you usually play solo for the most part, but incorporating a way to play with friends. And I think that's going to drive a lot more people to play it, because we all know it's going to be on Game Pass, so that's already going to drive its sales or whatever, more players. But to be able to play together is going to be a lot of fun. But what's your take on it? Are you excited for this game mode?
I don't, honestly, not really personally, because like for me, I'm there to can play competitively as opposed to, say, for fun. I would like to play a racing game to compete with my friends. I like competition, so I think for me the community mode is just sort of a fun teaser to what you can do. It gives players who spend hundreds of hours in Forza something to do. So I think it's awesome that they're giving players the ability to make their own Forza fun, like GTA, because that's one of the things that drives GTA right now. For example, is the creation of some of those wacky maps that they have, the ability they have flying, jet bikes and shit like that. It's about that ability to just sort of go wild and have fun, and I think that's an awesome thing to be bringing to Forza. But maybe I hope that it doesn't really detract from what we have in the actual gameplay of Forza itself. How many hours did they take away from actual development to go towards this mode?
Right. Coming off of the success with Forza Horizon 4, because that game's even fun to play now, and it's been out for 4 years. And like Forza 4 was a lot of fun. There was different races, like the map was huge, and this map is even bigger. So I'm excited to see what this game turns out to be. And the fact that we skipped a motorsport, like we know Forza Motorsport is in production for next gen exclusivity. So like that's going to be another topic to get into, but they went from Forza Horizon 4 to 5, and they made all these changes. Like, it's crazy to see every year how they implement new, better, and bigger changes to push that like real life like car racing simulator. Like, it's astonishing the creativity that they have going over there at Playground Studios.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I'm super excited about Forza, and I think the next thing to really talk about here after Forza is Microsoft Flight Simulator. So with Microsoft Flight Simulator, they've just released a new update. We have a new region that they're really kind of flushing out. There's now new things for Germany, Austria, and Switzerland, where you can fly around some of these new. They've implemented some really detailed regions of these lakeside castles, these really beautiful scenic places in the Alps, I believe. So it's an awesome update we're going to be able to see here. They're adding new planes and new helicopters as well. So and some races as well. So there's a lot of new features coming out here from the Microsoft sort of real world simulation game genre, and I'm really excited because they look beautiful. They look stunning. What are your thoughts on the new on the new update for Microsoft Flight Simulator?
Man, if you ever want to experience like real life, this will be the ideal game to go to. This game is like 1-to-1 scale, pretty much of the entire Earth, almost. Not 100%, but the fact that I'm gonna give you an example of how realistic this is because it has dynamic, real world weather. People were flying into Hurricane Ida that's about to hit New Orleans in about an hour or so in the coming hours here, and you can fly through that hurricane that's about to hit in a game. That's insane.
It's it's just it's sad that we have this hurricane going on, but the fact that the developers have said, hey, you may have in the back of your mind thought about this, go ahead, fly through a hurricane, go ahead,
exactly,
see how it ruins your vehicle. No, I think it's a really cool thing, not to make light of a hurricane, but I think it's awesome that Microsoft is out here trying to really push the label when it comes to dynamic weather in their games. In a simulation game, weather is a huge thing about driving vehicles and it's or piloting vehicles in any sense. It's a huge part of it, and I think to see Microsoft Flight Simulator continue to push the boundaries of what computers can do and what game design, like atmospheric game design, can do is awesome. And I think other companies, especially Battlefield and Call of Duty, are looking at this going, maybe this real world weather simulation actually could make our game better. And I really think that Microsoft is the one pushing. Yeah, it's Microsoft is really pushing the envelope when it comes to atmospheric design of your world.
Right. And as you mentioned, like it's pretty cool to see that they're adding like a world update for those are very beautiful areas of our world, and the fact that they're going to have different landmarks that we are familiar with, and you can fly over, fly by, whatever you want to do, pretty cool. But you did also mention the new racing mode. So now they're basically they're adding PvP to a simulator. To me, that's pretty awesome because most simulators are all solo-oriented games, but now you're adding racing because you're able to take these different style planes and give them use and go have fun with your friends. I think that's awesome, and I'm excited to see where
I think
it's becoming a more of a platform now because this game will be around for until the next generation at least, and all the different content they could potentially add into this game is super exciting, and I'm really looking forward to that. But I also like to see what else they're doing with this. They're finding a way to preserve history by implementing. They're adding like World War II era planes and other specific planes that are like localized, famous, like in certain locals that they know about the plane, but do we know about it? No, but that plane is famous in that area. They get to add that to the game, and once that plane eventually stops flying or like stops working in general, like this is a way to preserve history in a different format, and I think that's pretty cool to see because a lot of those planes matter.
No, I agree. Yeah,
what's your take?
They're historical. Yeah, I really think that we've discussed this before about games being sort of preserved for posterity's sake, and I think it's really awesome to see these things that are just so important to some people. Because like for Microsoft Flight Simulator, the community is there's a very big thriving community there that they care about planes, they care about piloting, they think it's it's an art, and to see them be able to say, well, now I get to fly or simulate flying this famous plane, I think there's a lot to be said there with how cool that is, and I'm glad to see it, and I think it's a great way of cataloging this plane for the future when one day it won't be able to fly and it'll sit in a museum until it's no more.
Right. And honestly, is that nobody probably knows here on stream, but me and you were related to the Wright brothers. You imagine if they added like an
Yeah,
expansion or an addition of like the first planes ever created by the Wright brothers.
yeah.
Even whether how far they can fly or how long they can fly, it's a different story. But that'd be pretty cool to experience in a flight
Yeah,
simulator,
just
just
to
to
see
experience
how
to see
long
what
they
they went
could
through,
go.
and to compare to see where we're at today versus then. I
Yeah,
would think that'd be a pretty cool expansion to see. But
no,
nonetheless,
definitely, I agree. Oh, go
okay.
ahead.
No, I was about to transition, but if you have
I was
more
saying,
thoughts,
no, I agree. I agree. It's definitely an interesting concept to be able to see, where we came and where we are with flying. With a simulation game, you want to be able to simulate it, not just kind of play it. Like, we have all these simulation games now, and some are memes and some are not. Like we have Goat Simulator, for example. It's a giant meme. But
yeah,
then again, we have things like Flight Simulator, which actually cares about how things fly, how far they can fly, how they can fly. It's just it's an awesome experience to see Microsoft Flight Simulator continue to add more to the game itself. But I agree. We have many topics here today to move on to, and I think the next one we should cover here is the announcement that cloud gaming is now coming to the Xbox Series X and S. What are your thoughts on this, Vic?
and the Xbox One. I think that part there is the most important part because Xbox One gamers that are trying to transition to get into that Series X and S market, it's almost impossible now at this point because
Yeah.
you can't buy a console, blah, blah, blah. But games that are about to start coming out now are going to be next-gen exclusive. So you're not going to be able to play them on Xbox One. But this finds a different way around it. Like, hey, you want to still play Xbox Series X and S games? Well, play it on the cloud on your Xbox One. Yes, there's going to be some issues because latency and internet connection. We're not 100% there for cloud gaming yet, but that is going to be the future of gaming because the fact that I can come home and go play the game immediately without going, oh, I got to download this 200 gigabyte game, update it, and then play the game. You could save so much space if you're even just trying to test games out or whatever. Like, because Call of Duty is like 250 gigabytes every year, so that's already half of most people's hard drives. It's on a 500 gigabyte hard drive, so it's just like this allows people to have more accessibility in gaming, and I think that's awesome. Where they're still continuing that trend of no gamer left behind, even at like the people who can't afford it, can't find it, can't get it. You
Well,
can still play those
and I
games on cloud. So I'm
and I
super
think the
excited.
important thing here is it's not that it's no gamer left behind, but it's the fact that we want to move forward, but we don't want to ruin the community by doing so. So instead of damaging our reputation, we'll give players who can't get the next gen a way to play it without having the hardware. So I definitely agree. This is awesome to finally see that the cloud service, which has been in beta for a while now, coming out this holiday, it's definitely going to push the envelope because this past week or 2 weeks ago, I actually for the first time got to try Steam cloud gaming, where I could boot up a game on my desktop and play it on my wife's laptop upstairs that might not be able to run the game, and it runs perfectly, and I can stream it to any TV that has a computer hooked up to it. I think, yes, I agree. Streaming is going to be the way of the future for many, many people. But I'm still leery, though, that the bandwidth is going to be the issue here we're looking
Right.
at. Because America, as you know, has third world infrastructure when it comes to our internet connectivity. Most people are only getting 100 megabits per second, and that's all they're offered. And it's like $100 a month just for that. And that's unreal. Like, I can get for $80 a month a gigabit up and down, and I think we're still in a world where they want to be able to push this forward, but I think it's not going to do very well because of the bandwidth issues. Because
Right.
you're not they're like, oh, look, you can game on the go. Well, what if I don't have service where I'm at? What if I'm in a subway? What if I'm in a train that doesn't have good service? It's going to be awesome to see, but I'm still leery that we're going to see a lot of issues because the infrastructure's still not there.
Another example of those technologies that is ahead of its progression and growth over the time. And actually, when I'm at work on my breaks and stuff like that, I'll use this new cloud streaming feature to play on Xbox.com/play. I can stream basically any game from the Game Pass and play it right there on my computer. So that was a lot of fun and it worked. There was some slight latency. Like I wouldn't recommend it if you're playing like a competitive shooter. You're not going to win. It's just that slight delay is going to get you killed like every single time. So, like you said, the bandwidth of the internet is not there yet, but it will be eventually. But we got to work on the infrastructure for sure. But
Agreed. And so I think moving on here to our next topic this week, Microsoft announced that Sea of Thieves is getting a new update here. Is this really anything that's that great, T-Vic? Is it?
to me, not really, because I probably haven't played Sea of Thieves since launch, but I do know that Sea of Thieves it's a big community. It's one of the biggest Untitled has right now, and it's cool to see the different updates. But with this, they're getting a Borderlands themed ship, and it's all part of an event that's going on right now. So I think it'd be pretty cool to see how and where they take this. Like, are they going to have like monthly events a theme like this based off of other games, and like collaborate? I would think that's pretty cool. But I mean, I know you were big into Sea of Thieves. Do you still play it at all?
I was for a little bit there. I played it during launch, was like, oh, this is alright, but there wasn't enough content. I started playing about, I'd say, a year and a half ago, maybe. I got back into it for a little bit, and there was some content there that actually really was fun. But, I think the issue at hand here, Sea of Thieves had a lot going for it, but there was a lot that it dropped the ball on, if you will. So, I think just getting a themed ship, it's not what players want, and it's not even that much of a Borderlands themed ship. All it has is the Borderlands logo on it.
Well, I mean,
So
DLC, so they added like a much bigger story. Like, there's a lot of content in Sea of Thieves now than what there was then. So it's just like me and you probably have missed a lot of content, a lot of fun, exciting adventures.
No, I did play some of that content, though. That's the thing. I did play some of the content that came out after with all these big stories, but, they're fun. There's some cool puzzles, things like that, but the problem in hand is still that I think they're still, as a game as a service, they're trying to get people into their battle pass or whatever. We'll call it a battle pass. It's not a battle pass, but it's not called that, but that's what it is. They're trying to get people to come back in and be like, oh, look at all these cosmetics we give. And I think the issue at hand is all these games are like cosmetics are the game, and that's a problem. And I think this just goes to show yet again that a game that has a lot of potential, instead of giving us more content, is just like, let's put a bunch of money into cosmetics because cosmetics equals cash. So,
the industry that we're in, every solo, there's a cash shop in there. We know that. We've seen it with Watch Dogs before the implementation of multiplayer. Like, why? Money talks. So why not go with what's going to make you the most money?
I agree.
The gaming
money
community
talks
has to make some changes.
Yeah, and I agree. It's indicative of the industry, but they could make so much more money, I think, if they just gave players what they wanted. Like, I had no problem as a kid paying $10 or $15 for a Call of Duty, map expansion, zombies, whatnot.
Right.
That I had no problem with. It was content. It was something new to do. But all these gaming industries, and I think this is indicative of the problem we have at hand, is all these places are like, oh, we're just going to give you more cosmetics. That's it. Right. And I think that's a problem, because cosmetics should be unlockable, not purchasable. And I think that's the big issue with a lot of these games, especially when they're not always free to play. Like, Sea of Thieves isn't free to play unless you have Game Pass or some other way to get to it.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, but another thing, though, is a lot of games are moving to like free DLC. Where you said it. We said that every map pack that will come out, all of that content now is free. Whenever it releases, we get it for free. It's just an update. So now, instead of making $15, $20 a person guaranteed every map pack, they got to find other alternatives to make money from additional content. And cosmetics is one thing, because it's one that doesn't alter gameplay. So it's not like it's a pay to win. It's one of those, if you want to, it's your choice, not mine.
Yeah.
So that's what it really comes down to. It's the gaming community that right now supports it, but at one point they can go, meh, we don't want it anymore. We don't want to do that. But the way that Fortnite keeps pushing that around and different skins and stuff like that, games like that, it's never going to end. It's not going to go away anytime soon, especially if they continue to show the success and the income and the revenue that they're going to keep generating.
And that's the thing. These are free games. That's like, I have no problem with purchasing things in free games. And don't get me wrong, the Borderlands ship is an unlockable ship, but a lot of the updates we see lately in Sea of Thieves are still here's our cash shop, come get some stuff. Right. So, but looking at another game though that did actually give us a new quality update, that's new content, State of Decay this week announced Homecoming. It's a new map for State of Decay from State of Decay 1. So, weren't we supposed to be getting a State of Decay 3 though?
Right. So when this was announced during their Gamescom, I think this one threw up like one of those big question marks, like, like, because we know State of Decay 3 is around the corner. It's about to come out within probably next year, 2022. 2022 is going to be a massive year for gaming. But the fact that they're coming out with a new update, which brings back the original map from State of Decay 1 with some changes based off of what happened in that game, it's cool to see that they're still supporting a game that's been out for a while but still has State of Decay 3 still coming out. So this, like, it ramps up their community. I'm looking at it from their perspective. It ramps up their community, gets them engaged a little bit more, gets them ready for State of Decay 3, because this isn't just repetitive content. This is going to be something new for them to experience, because there was a lot of changes that happened between State of Decay 1 and State of Decay 2. And they're both great games regardless, but I think this is pretty cool to see that they're still supporting a game, even though their next iteration is about to release. It's basically what Call of Duty does, if you think about it. Call of Duty releases like a map pack, a new update, like a month before the new game comes out. So it's like they're supporting their community and then into the next iteration. Makes sense.
Yeah, and I'm actually interested in this because it kind of helps to I think rebolster the community and go, hey, remember this cool game? We're coming out soon. Here's a new update. And I think it's really cool. Yes, they may be taking some development from State of Decay 3 to put this into State of Decay 2. But at the same time, I think this is a great way of saying, here. And I believe it's free, so...
Yeah, most of the content
with a free DLC. Yeah, so a free DLC, and if you have Game Pass, it's already free. I think this is a really cool update to finally just say, here, the game's still out here. We want to still keep you interested. I know our community is kind of dead at this point, but remember, State of Decay 3 is around the corner. Instead of just making you wait, here's a new map. And I think it's really cool that it's a content update and it's free. It's a big content update. It's a whole new map. So
right. Yeah, so I think that was a big win for Microsoft for sure. Can't complain about that.
I definitely agree. And so and talking about another game out here, another zombie game, Dying Light 2 just got announced. Or not announced, but a gameplay, a story trailer.
Yeah, revisit.
Yes. We've got a new story trailer out this week, showing us, the mechanics of the game. It looks very similar to the original Dying Light. Have you played Dying Light?
Oh, yes. I originally played the first one. I beat it. It was a really fun game. And what made it different with any other zombie game was obviously the parkour. Like, the movement in the original game was even pushing the limits. But some stuff in the game seemed over the top or underwhelming. That's beside the fact. But Dying Light 2, watching this trailer, really has me hyped because they added more ways to traverse the world. There's more ways to go at enemies. Like, just like the grappling hook. Like, when the dude jumped out the skyscraper or the building and then, like, grappled in, jumped through the window, took out the zombie, used the zombie as, like, a landing cushion. Man, you had me sold. This is like a zombie game with, like, Mirror's Edge. Like, combined, like, that kind of parkour. Like, you can legitimately traverse the world however you want and just have fun with it. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Dying Light 2, just like the first one, I think should be co-op as well. So I'd be interested to see how this plays out as a co-op zombie game as well. I didn't play the first one as a co-op.
Oh, I played the whole first game as a co-op. and then I went into the DLC. I didn't end up beating the first big DLC there, but like as a co-op game, this was one of my favorite games I think I've ever played in recent years. As a zombie game, it was super challenging.
Yeah.
But the movement, the mechanics of the game, it was just a good game all around in my opinion. And I think to see Dying Light 2, it looked a little clunky at times. It looked a little shaky and slow-mo and trying to, you climb up a wall and you hang there like Spider-Man for a few seconds, and then you push off. And I'm like, it feels a little clunky at times, it looks like, but I'm definitely still excited to try Dying Light 2, especially if it ends up on Game Pass.
And that's the craziest thing that we did not get in at Gamescom or any other time. The fact that you opened your show with Dying Light 2 and you end their showcasing by saying, "Hey, play a game day one on Game Pass." What?
Yeah.
Why? Why is it on Game Pass? Like, I'm really confused. Like, maybe that'll change between now and then, because it's not supposed to come out, I don't think, until I think next year, if I'm not mistaken. Or actually, it doesn't have an official date or time frame yet.
No,
but so, yeah, like you said, I'm really surprised that it's not on Game Pass or coming to Game
Pass. Actually,
Dying
Light 2 did get a release date. I apologize. It is December 7th of this year.
And that's interesting because that's less than 4 months away, and we have no update that it's on the Game Pass. But it's been showcased at multiple Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
To see if that is like a delayed thing. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited for it though. But take a look at that trailer if you ever have time, guys. Dying Light 2 looks good, and if you've liked the first one, hopefully the second one will bring that to you again. But talking about other zombie games here, Wasteland 3, not typically a zombie game, a post-apocalyptic game. A new update was just announced. I believe it's their final update for Wasteland 3. It's the final expansion. It is the Cult of the Holy Detonation. So it is it's about sentient super beings, mutants that decide to essentially worship the atom bomb. They have a church literally with the Manhattan Project nukes swaying from the ceiling. You know, it looks like it's going to be a fun expansion where you're trying to stop Colorado from being detonated into oblivion. What are your thoughts? Have you ever played Wasteland 3, Vic?
I've actually never played any of the Wasteland games, and when Wasteland 3 was originally announced, I was like, that game looks pretty cool. I want to give it a try. And I never got around to it, and I kind of missed the train, I guess, with you because I didn't know you guys were going to be playing it. And I know you guys were just playing it today, if I'm not mistaken, as well, right? Yeah. So,
yep, I actually was playing it today.
Yeah, so this looks pretty cool. It's exciting to see that they're coming out with another expansion. I think they're up to 2. And they're coming out with like a complete edition if you want to buy the game as well. But this game is on Game Pass, so I can always check it out at any given time.
Yep.
But yeah, overall, this game does look like fun. It's a different type of game. It's just like kind of like the Ascent. It's like a top-down shooter, more or less. So.
It's a traditional turn-based RPG, a tactical RPG. I'm sorry, turn-based tactical RPG. So you control units, you go through shooting. Many of you have already seen, hopefully, Wasteland 3. If not, it's like Fallout 2. It's one of those classic sort of Fallout style games, but from the perspective of multiple people in a unit, top down, making decisions in a post-apocalyptic wasteland. Super fun. I'm super excited to see Cult of the Holy Detonation, especially if the DLC is free on Game Pass. But I think we should close out here with the Xbox Showcase recap. Last thing that they mentioned here, small thing, Crusader Kings 3 is coming to console on the Xbox Series X and S. For those of you who don't know what Crusader Kings is a Paradox sort of family-based or genealogical-based game where you follow the path of a family through history from the Middle Ages almost up to the early Renaissance, so 1444-ish, from 700 to 1444. It's a cool part of history, but in this one, it's very much a follow your character. You design your character, and every time your character passes on, your next kid takes over, and they have traits and stuff. And it's a really cool a strategy game. Do you think you may give it a try because it's on Xbox, Vic, or do you think maybe this isn't the game for me still?
Right. Strategy games like this have always been just like, meh. I've like even thinking about it like Halo Wars, Gears of War Tactics or whatever that Gears Tactics.
Yeah.
Two games that I could have got into because I love those franchises. Still never played because I've never really been into strategy games.
Strategy,
But
yeah.
I'm always going to give something a try. Like I'm always open to play whatever, honestly. But with Crusaders Kings 3, I love the console version too because it's adding they're implementing features from each specific console because it is coming to the PS5 as well. And it's being developed by Lab 42 in partnership with Paradox, so that's awesome. So the Xbox version is implementing a feature that you can quickly switch between YouTube and the game if you need to follow tutorials or stuff like that. So that's awesome to see using that quick resume feature that Xbox has that they're really known for. But then on the PlayStation side, they're implementing features that that allows you with the controller, the PS5 controller with the stress mechanics, the DualSense controller itself, like with the triggers or whatever. I think that'll be pretty cool to see the implementations with that controller because I'm not gonna lie, the PlayStation controller was innovative this year with this generation. I'm curious to see how game developers can use that and push it because Microsoft has thought about adding similar features to the controller after seeing the success from the PS5 controller. So if both systems have it, why not try to implement it? I think it's a different way to immerse you into a game.
Yeah, personally, I think I don't think it's a great move for Crusader Kings to go to console because it's definitely one of those games that's going to be super difficult to control because of the nature of all the menus and systems that are built into it. So I definitely think this may not be a very good hit on console, and I'm actually surprised when I read it on our itinerary that it is coming to console.
Right. I know you're a big fan of those games for sure, so I was like, I know he has something to say about them.
Yeah, and Crusader Kings 3 is a game that I actually love personally. I played a ton of it. I think I've got like over 50 hours in it. It's a fun game, but it's just I don't really see it as a console game. So I'm surprised to see it's going to console. I'm not sure how popular it's really going to be. Is it really worth their time to put it on console?
You can't forget you can play with keyboard and mouse on console if you want. If that helps out the experience.
I guess then it makes it so people who don't have a gaming PC can finally get to check out a Paradox game. And if that's the case and people want to play it with mouse and keyboard,
right, exactly what we're saying, because sometimes it's hard to play strategy games with a controller. So any strategy game that keeps coming out for console, you're just like, I can't play it because I don't want to play the controller. They added keyboard and mouse support, and people who, like you said, can't afford a gaming PC, here's your opportunity to
now play it
to play a strategy game. And plenty other games, any other strategy games too. So again, it's just another one of those include all gamers when possible.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. So I think here we should move on to the meat of this convention this week. Gamescom this week, their opening night live had a lot of great news, a lot of great things that honestly, I think hyped up even some of our personal friends and community a lot. And it's hard to hype some of these guys up. So, Saints Row, Vic, have you ever played Saints Row?
Hell yeah, I sure did back in the day. Like,
all right.
Like PS2 days, man, PS3 days.
Oh, man.
A lot of fun.
Like, don't get me wrong. I'm a fucking child, dude. Penetrator is such a fun weapon. I think that, like, it just Saints Row is such a... It's that meme for people who like GTA, but also like just fucking stupidity.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. They've announced the Saints Row reboot, and I don't think it's that far away either. I think it's released within the next year here, so that's huge. You know, the fact that there's been a Saints Row game in development and nothing's gotten out this whole time, I'm excited.
Right. Yeah. The fact that it leaked like the day before, which is almost inevitable at this time. To see Saints Row coming back, the biggest complaint that I seen from the trailer or the gameplay that we did get to see is they were like, "Why does it look like Fortnite?" I was just like, "And now you just fucked it up for me." Not really, but I was just like,
"No," and that's
it
the
has
thing.
a similar art style to it.
It always has, though. That's the crazy thing. Fortnite has. We let's take a step back here. Fortnite looks like Saints Row, all right? Because Saints Row is always Saints Row has been before it, and it's the same art style.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
just brighter colors. I
Yeah.
mean, so I'm definitely excited.
Oh
So
yeah.
be on the lookout. February 25th, 2022. Saints Row, new game, the
February
reboot drops.
2022 is going to be one busy ass month for game.
Yeah, it's going to be huge. And so, moving on here, though, we got a new announcement from the developers of XCOM, Marvel Midnight Sun. We're going to be getting an XCOM style game in the Marvel universe. Are you worried? Because to me, after the last Marvel game that dropped, and the way XCOM plays sometimes, I'm worried that the game's going to be bad.
Well, I'm going to take the opposite approach. Screw Square Enix. I think they butchered Marvel's Avengers and all that stuff.
Easily.
But the problem with Marvel games recently is they were trying to connect them to the MCU too much, and they were worried about that. I think that's what hindered that game in a big part. This game, though, has no connection to MCU. Receiving Wolverine, Ghost Rider, Blade, Iron Man, all out there, right? But it being a tactical RPG made by the developers who made XCOM, which is one of the great tactical games ever of all time, is making a Marvel version of this. What's there not to be hype about? You're taking a great IP with a great developer, and now you could potentially get one of the greatest hits of all time. I'm super excited for this game.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree that it has a lot of potential, and I only wish it good things. So be on the lookout there. Marvel Midnight Sun is going to be by the developers of XCOM. We're going to see it hopefully next year here. I don't think there's an official release date yet.
No. But 2022 is, like I said, big year for gaming. I'm telling you.
Well, 2021 wasn't a big year for gaming just because of COVID, and same with 2020. We had a lot of releases in the beginning of 2020, and then, shit got pushed back. So moving on to something that got pushed back, Halo Infinite. Halo Infinite, as we know, is being released December 8th, 2021. Well, what did we get at Gamescom? They had to have showed up. So we're hearing about Season 1, the multiplayer cinematic trailer just dropped. We got some news this week as well, last week as well, about what's going to be available for Halo Infinite on drop, which we're missing Forge and co-op multiplayer. But Halo is never without its peripherals. So we saw this week that they're releasing a Elite Series 2 controller for Halo, a limited edition Xbox Series X that nobody will ever be able to buy because scalpers are going to own them all. There's going to be a Razer headset, and then a Seagate hard drive, I assume, for the Xbox is what it's made for. So can you tell us anything about this that I may have missed, or any details that people should know?
Right. So in regards to the Season 1 multiplayer cinematic trailer, one of the biggest things that I'm excited for is that they're going to be telling a story in the Halo universe through multiplayer. And I know some games have started to adapt that with Call of Duty doing it through Warzone, Fortnite doing it obviously through Fortnite and stuff like that. That's the new model. So not only are we getting the classic Halo experience as Master Chief and the story, the campaign, but you'll also get to experience some kind of story timeline that plays through a lot of different content, because I think Season 1 is based around Halo Reach, if I'm not mistaken. So it'll be pretty cool to see how they tie in and maneuver their way through the Halo universe. And that trailer, beautiful. It looked phenomenal. It really had me going. I was like, man, what the fuck's going on? Because you don't know what's going on in that. You just see the Banished, the brutes taking over with the Covenant and stuff like that. And you're like, what's going on here? So nonetheless, that looks exciting.
Oh.
But
And that's something that we built upon before as well. Brutes have been in charge. The elites have been out since Halo 3. They've lost their place for a long time now. But yeah, no, I definitely agree. I'm excited to see that, maybe without co-op or Forge, we can maybe get some good content out of multiplayer. I'm just hoping that they don't dive too far into it, and then it just becomes another incident with Halo 5 where the multiplayer isn't great. And then, the campaign gets kind of lackluster because they're going for a gimmick.
Yeah, I agree. So hopefully with the lack of co-op and Forge, that multiplayer can hold its hype so that people can eventually
Yeah.
play together in the story, because I think the story is going to be phenomenal just from the snippets, the small content that we do have from it. I think it looks great. Good news. But in regards to the peripherals that you noted, rattled out, like the Elite Series 2 controller, that looks badass. And honestly, I'm not in the market yet to buy an Elite Series controller. And if I was, I want to buy the original all black version. But if this came out and it was just a regular controller, yeah, I'd probably pre-order it as well. But the limited edition console, yeah, that's going to sell out immediately unless they find a way to prevent the scalpers and whatnot. But it's cool to see that basically, like,
Yeah.
there's been like a Halo console like every time. The original Xbox had one, the 360 had one, the Xbox One had one, and now the Series X gets its treatment of an Xbox console.
And that's the thing. Halo has always been the flagship of Xbox. So I'm really worried that, you know, this game may flop and it could spell the end. But, you know, the console looks pretty cool. It's an awesome console, but I'm definitely weary that we're going to see a lot of scalpers here and the console is going to be just unobtainable.
One thing though, I hope that controller that comes with the console is also sold separately if you don't want to buy the console, because to be honest, I want the damn controller that comes with it. That looks pretty cool too. I want that controller as well. But in regards to the other two peripherals, the Halo Razer headset, I'm not a huge fan of it. It kind of looks cheap and plasticky. It doesn't catch my attention. I just recently
bought this Razer peripheral.
Yeah, so I mean, Razer's big into gaming, but we know Razer's potential. But the Seagate hard drive, yeah, it looks cool. If you need extra storage, go for it. Seagate is its official sponsor with hard drives. It's the Series X, the memory card, hard drive, SSD that you can plug in the back of it. It's also made by Seagate, the only company that has made one yet. The only ones that are allowed to, I think, as of right now. But that's pretty cool nonetheless. But overall, finding out the release date, December 8th, 2021. I'm actually glad that they didn't release it in November, because there's too much shit in November and at the end of October.
I mean,
so moving it to December,
but I
think
mean,
is perfect.
Yeah, I agree. Halo releasing on December 8th, 2021 gives them a lot of leeway to really be a competitor after, because I'll be honest with you, I'm putting money. My money is on the table saying that Call of Duty is going to flop for a lot of the community, but people are going to buy it anyway.
Yeah.
And Battlefield isn't going to completely live up to my hype, but it's going to be an alright game. It's going to be a fun game, and it's not going to live up to the hype. Yeah, honestly, I feel like moving out of COVID and then back into the Delta variant, these games can only... Yeah, you don't... This year is full of surprises, I guess. So, I'm definitely excited about Halo Infinite, but I'm still...
in regards to the release date.
Oh, Vic's got a bad thing. What's the bad thing?
No longer be in the running for Game of the Year if it is a good game. It has missed the deadline of, like, I think it's like the end of November, if I'm not mistaken, to be considered for Game of the Year for 2021. So it just missed it. So now it can be, I guess, in the running for 2022. But as we know, 2022 is loaded with games, and it's not going to have a chance at all. 2021 would have been a perfect year to potentially go for Game of the Year, because there's not that much games. There's some good games, but for Game of the Year, missed out on it. But I don't. I kind of agree. They're not worried about that at all. Clearly.
Yeah, because they know they know they can't be in the running. That's the problem. Halo Infinite, just the way it's been pushed back. The content's been kind of shaky. You know, we're not getting all promises made and promises not kept is where we're at right now with Halo Infinite. So I think they kind of know that we don't need to be in the running in an easier year for Game of the Year, because we're not going to win anyway.
Yeah, because I'm surprised they didn't release it on November 15th. The original Halo
So I think the next thing we got to talk about here, though, is something in the running for Game of the Year next year.
Yeah.
Horizon Forbidden West. So Horizon Zero Dawn's new sequel has gotten its release date on February 18th, 2022. So it's right around the corner. Looks beautiful. Looks super playable, and if it's anything like Horizon Zero Dawn, I think we definitely have a contender for the Game of the Year. What are your thoughts, Vic?
Yeah, so playing Forza Horizon,
or
whatever, Jesus, really great game.
Horizon Forbidden West.
No, I'm talking about the first one, Forza Horizon.
Yeah.
And that game was really really fun. I had a lot of fun exploring in that game. Things to discover, add to that story, add to that lore. Fantastic. But I'm actually surprised that it got delayed, but I'm guessing that because this game was supposed to be released this year, but with them being delayed till next year, February 18, 2022, they're in a packed month. I hope this is another game that just doesn't get enough viewership based off of what's coming out in February. That's my biggest concern. But if it holds up and did what the first game did, this game's not going to have a problem.
Yeah. No, and isn't it also not a PlayStation exclusive at this point? No, it is. Yeah, it's still a PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 exclusive. And I think that to me is one of the things that scares me with it being a PS5 and PS4 exclusive. Are we going to have to worry about the PS4 holding back the PS5 on Horizon Forbidden West? You know, but with it being only on PlayStation, I think it gives it a leg up here because it doesn't have to compete and contend with some of the Microsoft exclusives that are coming out around the same time.
Exactly. So nonetheless, definitely be on the lookout for that game, February 18th, 2022. It's going to be a big game. Really never had a bad game, more or less, I would say.
Yeah, and I think moving on here, Lego Star Wars. There is a new Lego Star Wars announcement. Do you care?
Yes.
Really? I'll be honest with you. Because I'm not a big fan of the Lego games, to be honest. They were fun as a kid, but like as an adult, I'm like, I don't really care much for them. But Skywalker Saga. So, do you think the game's going to be any good?
Yes. The fact that it got delayed until spring of 2022 was supposed to have been out a long time ago, and it keeps getting delayed given the circumstances. And from the concept, the trailer that we got to see, it looks like obviously a Lego game, but it looks like it could potentially be the best Lego game they've ever made. And me being the Star Wars nerd that I am, I'm intrigued to play this game and play it through the entire saga. Like literally from the different clips, I was like, oh, that was from the first movie, the fourth movie, the fifth movie. Like I could point out every possible scene, and like there's slight changes, like the humor that they throw into it, based off of because it's a Lego game. And I think that's what makes it even more fun. I've played plenty of Lego games, and I still have fun with them. It's a nice co-op game too if you want to play with friends and stuff. I actually don't know if this one's co-op, but most of the other ones I played, there's always been a co-op part of it, so it's always been a fun game.
I think Lego's always been a co-op game, right. And if they remove co-op, I honestly think that's a step backwards for the series.
Right, so Lego game is just a Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga. The fact that they're doing the entire 9-movie saga is pretty cool, and like that's a big ambition thing to do with a game. To make a game based off of 9 movies, because they've made Star Wars Episode 3, they made Star Wars Episode 5, like different Lego games, even based off of different individual movies. But now you're covering 9. I'm interested to see on how the success of this as well.
Yeah.
And again, it's in
I'm definitely
early 2022, just stacking the release dates in the early 2022.
And talking about potential co-op games here, to one that is co-op. So, Vic, you remember Chuck E. Cheese as a kid here, and being able to play Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the arcade game? Like, that was one of the best things.
Tokens on that damn game.
Oh my God.
Fuck winning tickets.
Oh my God. I should own that fucking machine with how much we put into it. But Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is getting a reboot now. TMNT Shredder's Revenge. It is a game that is made to be just like the classic TMNT for Sega Genesis or Atari. I can't remember which one it was on. But it is a release of the 4-player co-op TMNT style game, side scroller. I'm super excited for this, actually. Like, to me, there's not much you can really fuck up on this kind of game. And to finally see something like this come back out, I'm super excited because, like, TMNT for me is my childhood. It defines every time we went to Chuck E. Cheese. You know, it's one of those games that's always been in the back of my mind. Are you excited? Because I'm excited.
Hell yeah! Like we spent countless amount of hours playing that game every single time we went to Chuck E. Cheese, and like Ninja Turtles is like a big IP. Like I said, I don't think there's a way to fuck it up. But the cool part is they're adding April O'Neil as a playable character in this as well. So I'm also curious if this is just 4-player co-op, or are they going to make it a 5-player co-op game? I'm very curious to see if they make that.
Honestly, yeah, and I think it would be a mistake to make it more than 4 players, but at the same time, I'm definitely excited for it because of the consoles that it's dropping on. It's going to be on the Switch, the PS4, the Xbox One, and Windows, which is kind of strange that it's not on PS5 or Xbox One X and S.
They're all
But
backwards compatible.
maybe we'll see that later down the road.
They'll be on those consoles, but
Yeah.
the next gen upgrade or whatever they
Yeah.
want to call it. But can you make this kind of game a next gen upgradable version? It probably.
No, I'm definitely excited for this game, even though, it should be on all these consoles already because we don't really need an upgrade. But be on the lookout. There is no release date yet. 2022. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Shredder's Revenge. But moving on to another game that was announced that looks really, really cool to me. Dolmen. Dolmen's story trailer was released. Have you taken a look at Dolmen at all?
Yeah, so I watched the entire show live and rewatched some trailers after the show because I had to get another glimpse. And the fact that Dolmen looks really, really cool. It's basically, to describe it based off of here from Steam, is it's a terrifying new RPG that combines futuristic sci-fi and cosmic horror elements. And I know you, along with our other parts of our group, our friend group here, has been big into horror games. So I think this would be a pretty cool game to definitely check out. It is coming to PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. Again, guess what? In 2022. What's your thoughts on this game?
So it reminds me a lot of Dead Space. That sort of post-apocalyptic space opera horror. Nobody can hear you scream in space, and turns out you're the guy who has to deal with everyone else who's already screamed and died in space. So I'm really excited for a game that, puts me in a place where there is no running. Where do you go on a spaceship? You can't run. No, I'm super excited. It looks like an awesome horror game. There's not too much information about it other than the story trailer out right now. But it's coming out 2022. And so moving on now, there's another game that just got announced called Doki V.
Yeah.
So Doki V is ever. Well, that's the thing. It's Doki V is made by Pearl Abyss. Pearl Abyss being a Korean game developer. They made Black Desert and a few other games as well. The big thing to be aware of here is this game is kind of like Pokemon meets Black Desert. So essentially you're going around and dealing with monsters of some sort that are terrorizing cities in a open world sort of free, what is the word I'm looking for? Just sort of free moving. You can jump around, glide through the place. You've got a bunch of different tools for travel, riding your skateboard around or vehicles. And so it's a big open world and you capture and fight monsters, it looks like. And you have that Black Desert style combat feature, which I really think was one of my favorite things for, just style of combat, really. It was that open world fighting game, but a lot more free moving. It's sort of like Dragon Ball Z style fighting, where it's, you can fight in 360 degrees, but it's a less rigid.
Right. Yeah, so this game definitely was like one of those question marks, but exclamation marks from the showcase. Because everyone, when this first came, this game was supposed to come out back in 2020, even though the pandemic was not that. But this one, I don't know what to think about it yet, man. I know it's coming out for PC console. We don't have an idea when it's coming out, but I think it's pretty cool to take that Pokemon. That's something that we grew up on and would love, and new features, new ways to play that kind of game, that creature collection battle game. I think that's cool, and the art style looks very intriguing. You know me, I'm big into a game when it looks good. When a game looks good, you got me. You got the hook in my mouth, and you're going. Now you gotta just make sure you reel me in with the rest of the game. Otherwise, I'm like, all right, cool. I got what I needed. I'm moving on. You know what I mean?
And that's kind of where I'm at as well. This game is made by Pearl Abyss, so I'm already leery at best based off of the developer. The developer makes good games with that lackingness of the story and the sort of straightforwardness, because with games like Black Desert, one of their core IPs for Pearl Abyss, they kind of give you 100 ways to go, and the story's everywhere. It's all over the place. So I'm really hoping for some concrete direction in the game. But watch out there. Doki V, a game that's supposed to have already been out but been delayed. It's like Pokemon meets Black Desert. But next game up here we saw was Synced Off Planet. This is a futuristic, sort of post-apocalyptic machine singularity moment. So the singularity happens, people kind of merge with machine, and then we figured out how to modify matter on the molecular level, and then we created a monster that wants to erase all humanity. And you're a survivor who's trying to survive the last vestiges of whatever's coming to get you in the world. What are your thoughts, Vic? Does this look like a game you want to play, or it just looks like another cookie cutter style game?
No, you hit it. It looks like a game that I want to play. From the trailer, the graphics look great. It has me hooked in. I like anything that's post-apocalyptic, whether it's TV shows, movies, games, whatever. You already have me hooked on the game, but the game has to play well. It has to have good mechanics. It has to have a good story. So, like you said, Synced Off Planet is a companion shooter set in a techno-apocalyptic future. So, like you said, with the whole singularity, I'm curious. Like, that trailer did enough for me where I don't want to look at anything else. I don't want to look at any more trailers, no more gameplay. I want to play this game whenever it comes out without knowing anything else, because I think this is a good game I could have played.
There's some element of mystique to it.
Yes.
The fact that you don't know what happened to humanity, and you want to find out. You want to find out and survive. It looks awesome, and I agree. I'm super excited for it. And talking about survival games here, a new
release
game
date is potentially 2022 as well. Coming to PC and I think mobile, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's PC exclusive.
Yeah.
PC and
I think it. Yeah, so Synced Off Planet looks like a really cool game. Be on the lookout for it. Hopefully 2022. Hopefully we'll get more information sometime in the middle, like summer time, when it'll actually be coming out.
I think we'll probably see something at E3 2022.
Yeah, definitely. So, talking about survival games here and surviving a horrific sort of environment, Outlast just announced their new sequel to the Outlast series, Outlast Trials. Have you ever played an Outlast game, Vic?
Sure have, and that game is scary as fuck. I'm not even going to lie. I remember when my boy JC, shout out Sizzle, first put me on this game. He was like, "Bro, this game is crazy. You should download it and play it." I was like, "All right, cool." So we were playing it at like the same time, whatever. We're like, "Oh shit!" Like there was a bunch of jump scares, like psychological horror. Like it touches on every different type of horror in this game. It can really push your limits, and the fact that they're finally making one too, because I think there's 2 of them out right now, or three games out.
Outlast 2, and then an Outlast something else. I forget what the third game is called. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so this will be the next installment in the series. And to be honest, it looks fucking horrifying.
Right. And again,
it looks straight up horrifying.
You guys, everyone's into horror games right now. I think this is the next one to definitely give a try. I don't know if they touched on if it's co-op or multiplayer in any type of form. But guess what? Guess when it's potentially coming out? 2022.
Actually, 2021 is what they said.
Yeah, well,
the initial release date is
now for 2022, according to the
YouTube. So, yeah, it really all depends on where you're looking right now. But the horrifying thing about it is, it's in a funhouse essentially, part funhouse, part sort of carnival-esque horror, and to me, that's horrifying as shit. I hate carnivals. I hate fun houses. I hate that sort of creepy toy-esque sort of setting. So to me, this game looks even more horrifying than the first 3.
Right. Yeah. So I'm probably going to check it out. I enjoyed the first. I played the first 2 games maybe. I definitely played the first one. I can't remember if I beat the second one or not. But nonetheless, it's definitely one of the best horror games that are in the industry right now.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with that. And moving on here from horror games to sort of combat simulating games, Crossfire. Crossfire X is just been announced. Not announced, just been announced, but it's been. What is the real change here we're seeing for Crossfire X?
So Crossfire X itself, multiplayer, has been out on PC for a long time. It's been a few years. We do know that Crossfire
Yeah,
X campaign
it's 2020.
is coming out soon. We don't know when. It's still a mystery, actually, by Remedy Games, which we know Remedy Games makes a lot of great games. We touched on them last week with Alan Wake 2 and Control and stuff. But back to its multiplayer, there was a new trailer showcase for its multiplayer, and it's showing off like new maps, new game modes, new characters, and much more. So it's pretty cool to see that. I think this is a way to build up more hype for that campaign that is coming soon, whether it's at the end of this year or slated again 2022. And if I'm not mistaken, I want to say it's an Xbox exclusive campaign. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's an Xbox exclusive campaign that is coming out. But yeah, nonetheless, the trailer looked pretty cool. There was like mechs and different control points, and just new updates is pretty cool. I've never played Crossfire X, so maybe this is when I jump in and give it a try. Have you played Crossfire X at all?
No, I haven't played it because isn't it? It's only on console, right?
No, it's only on PC. That's the crazy part.
Yeah,
their campaign will be a console exclusive and PC, I guess, through Game Pass. But multiplayer is on PC.
Yeah. So with it being an Xbox exclusive, I didn't even know this game existed until I saw it at Gamescom, and I was like, oh, okay. To me, it just kind of flew under the radar, to be honest.
Yeah, because I don't think it's not the update we're looking for, because everyone's ready for that campaign, that story. Like, for Remedy Games to make a shooter campaign is something different that they have not done, like a legitimately like military style shooter story mode. Given their previous track record, all their games are hits, more or less. Even Quantum Break at their weakest point was a hit for Xbox. So we're seeing Crossfire X being developed by them. I'm intrigued because like this could potentially be a competitor for that Call of Duty campaign, because Call of Duty campaigns are blockbuster hits. Like their campaigns are usually pretty solid, pretty stellar. They're short, 4 to 6 hour campaigns, but they're like mind-bending, mind-blowing campaign, like really good story behind them. So I'm intrigued to see what Crossfire X does become, but maybe this is a chance for me to check out its multiplayer aspect of it on PC, now that I am a PC gamer now as well.
Yeah, no, I agree. It looks like an interesting game, and it kind of reminds me more of a competitor for Battlefield than Call of Duty, really. It almost looks more realistic than Call of Duty, in my opinion. And so I think seeing that they're still giving some love to this game that wasn't quite complete at launch is quite nice. So, but I think we should finish out here with the last real update that we saw at Gamescom. We finally got a release date for Valheim's new Hearth and Home update. Hearth and Home is going to be a more of a patch geared towards players who want to build like you do in Minecraft. Give yourself, really that ability to play the sandbox as a home sandbox game.
Mm-hmm.
Hearth and Home is set and slated to be released next month, and it looks pretty good. It looks, like they're really putting a labor of love into this game. What are your thoughts, Vic? Only playing the first little bit of Valheim, does this really intrigue you, make you want to kind of wait and play Hearth and Home, play a new game, start up new with Hearth and Home ready to, really give it a go again?
Right. So, like you said, I barely played Valheim, but in that 1 day or 2 days that we did play it, and I'm so sad that we never got it, because I felt like we had a lot of fun playing that game. Like all the stupid shit I would do when I died by a damn tree because I was cutting it down. That was fun. I don't care. That was different.
Yeah.
If I cut down a tree in Minecraft, that ain't gonna die because it ain't coming down.
The tree will float in the air until you get it all.
So like, I love the realism and just like the uniqueness, the exploration that happens in Battlefront, and like being able to play friends and then take on those like boss battles per se. It's a lot of fun, and I'm sad that we don't play it as much. But yeah, this is exciting to see this new update finally coming out, and I don't know, like, I wonder how it's going to be implemented to like people's save files that are already there. So like ours, where we're at now, like how does it get intertwined into our gameplay already? You know, so I'm definitely curious to see how that plays out.
It adds new recipes. So luckily, those who have their game out there, there isn't really much of a change to the rendering of the world. I don't believe there's any new items per se. There's just new things you can build. So it's all mostly craftable things that have changed, which is exciting, meaning hopefully you should be able to just keep your save file like you would in Minecraft. You know, as long as there's no new spawn or seed changes, I think this is going to be an awesome update. We've been waiting for a while for it, and I'm super excited to see it finally come out.
Yeah, I think we definitely got to plan a night to play it again and hopefully stream it as well. I think I played our first two playthroughs because I was new into the PC gaming, and that was my very early days of PC gaming. So I'm definitely down to play it again for sure. I'm sure we have a bunch of other friends that would love to join us as well, because I know Phil likes to play it with us. Bass played with us before, so I'm definitely down to play.
No, I definitely think it. You know, but moving on here, Gamescom wasn't the only thing that got really big traction this week.
Well, that was ONL.
Yeah.
So now this is the official Gamescom stuff that came out throughout the week.
Yeah. So throughout the week, we saw some new games get announced and some new series. There's really 4 big gaming news topics outside of Gamescom that kind of happened this week.
Yeah.
So number one for me, a big fan of this. Monster Rancher 1 and 2 are getting a remake on PC, Switch, and iOS. To me, this is huge. I'm a little worried at the gameplay of the game because one of the Monster Rancher's core features that I really didn't understand as a kid is you had to pop in games into your console while the game was running. To me, I thought if you pulled the disc out, the game would stop running. But turns out, Monster Rancher was made to run in the RAM of the game and save your files without the actual game disc being there to play it still.
I missed that feature.
So to me, the whole game behind Monster Rancher was the idea that you pulled monsters off of CDs. So with Monster Rancher 1 and 2 being re-released on Switch, PC, and iOS, I think I'm going to lose a lot of sleep here soon. What about you, Vic? Are you ready to play Monster Rancher?
For some reason, I don't know if I can remember. I think it was Monster Rancher 2 that I played a lot of on the PS1. And Monster Rancher 1, I think I missed that one. I think that was like before it came to America, because this series was released in Japan way before it came to America. So
yeah, but we still got Monster Rancher 1 and 2 in America. That's the thing, though.
Right.
And they were huge.
Right, and I think I was too young or missed Monster Rancher 1, but I do remember playing a lot of Monster Rancher 2 because I remember going through all the trainings with my monsters or going to battle with them through the tournaments and stuff. Even we used to fuse the different DNAs or whatever, try to make a new monster or whatever. Like, that was cool. I was like, wonder if I mix this and this, what am I going to get? Oh, it made nothing. Or, oh, wow, it makes that. Like, the discovery in that game was fun. I don't remember the story. We were like 8 years old playing this game, 6 years old playing this game. It was a long time ago. So to see now that it's coming to Switch, you're adding to my Switch collection, or I can download it on my PC, or I'm not going to play it on my phone. I'm sorry, I'm just not. But playing it on my Switch or the PC will be a lot of fun. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, always end up with a disappointing Jeller Suezo. Yeah, no, I remember you always got the disappointing monsters out of a fusion. You're like, and I wasted my other ones. I'm super excited to see Monster Rancher getting re-released. This is a series that I talked about, I think, only months ago here on the podcast as something I'd like to see again. It's something that I've missed for a while, and I'm really excited. And it's coming out December 8th, like so many other games this year. So
Right,
be on the lookout. Monster Rancher 1 and 2 getting a re-release.
right. It'd be pretty cool though if this is like if they're re-releasing these for a potential like Monster Rancher 3 or
reboot.
like a
Yeah.
reboot or
Well,
something like
Monster
that.
Rancher went on for a while there.
Well, it
So
became like Monster or something. They changed the name.
yeah. So I think I'm really excited for this, and hopefully we can see a reboot.
Oh, never mind.
And I
Monster Rancher
think
3 came out
yeah,
yesterday.
yeah, Monster Rancher 6 was the newest one they ever released. And so I think with Monster Rancher being re-released, maybe we'll get a reboot of the franchise, because honestly, the franchise, yeah, went downhill a little bit after, the first few games, but maybe a reboot, we might see a good Monster Rancher game again. So, moving on here, the next thing to really talk about is post-apocalyptic 40K strategy game Gladius. The developers of Gladius have decided to take their engine and make a new game. The new game is called Zephon. Zephon is a post-apocalyptic style shooter game where you're fighting sort of monsters and men in the future with most, kind of futuristic arsenal and weapons. I'm really excited the way this looks, but if it plays anything like Gladius, maybe it'll be an okay game. But it is definitely a rip. I think the way to put it is it's them ripping off their Gladius engine just to make a new game. I know you're not a man of strategy here, Vic, but does this game interest you at all?
Not really. I mean, the only part I guess that would interest me is that it's post-apocalyptic. So maybe this is a way that I can jump into this type of game and experience it. I'm not sure how this game's going to play out. I don't really know much about the 40K universe, even though we talk about all the new games that they're coming out with.
And that's the thing. This isn't meant to be a 40K game. This isn't a Warhammer game. This is just it's just from the creators of Gladius. It is them using the engine to make their own story. So
okay. Yeah,
I'm interested to see it, but it doesn't release until late 2022, so we've got almost a whole year here till we actually see anything from it. So be on the lookout. If you've liked Gladius, Zephon may be up your alley then.
yeah,
But
for sure.
moving on here to the non-game news, more businessy style news. We've got two things out of Netflix and Blizzard. Vic, you want to tell me about the Netflix gaming?
Yeah, so as everybody knows, we've talked about Netflix is entering the gaming market, and apparently this is imminent. It's right around the corner, and they have two mobile games that are coming out, and they're both in the Stranger Things universe. And there's two different titles. We don't really know much information in regards to these games, but all we know is that they're coming soon and that they're investing money into this. And I think it's a smart move on their end because we and you both know the mobile market is huge, and to release a game in the Stranger Things universe is pretty interesting because it's one of their biggest IPs that they own that they have access to. So why not implement like a
It's,
game and stuff?
being a Netflix original as well, it allows them to really build that next. Because for me, Netflix originals are sometimes hit or miss, but like
Right.
for us to now be getting games that are based off of Netflix exclusives, what is it next? Are we going to get Bridgerton, the visual novel?
Right. Yeah. Maybe.
I'm just saying, 18 plus Bridgerton, the visual novel. I'm calling it now.
That'd be pretty cool. But
But
it's
no,
because we both know that Netflix is having a lot of movies and TV shows that are built around already established game franchises. Like, excuse me, the Witcher series has a TV show on Netflix. Like
well, and that's the crazy thing. They're building off the hype of the game, but the actual Witcher series on the TV show is a
just as
direct relation to the actual. It's based off the books though more than the games are, which is a crazy nice thing. So Netflix is kind of riding that line between source material and being based on a game, not based on a game. Like, I think it's really interesting that we're definitely going to see Netflix trying to push some of their IPs.
right. Yeah. So I mean, this is good news, and just seeing more competition, more content, and it's a good time to be a gamer right now, man.
But I mean, the one thing that gets me though, it's a mobile game. So are we expecting Netflix to be?
My guess is that they went
Are we?
mobile first is because maybe most of their viewership comes from watching Netflix on your phone or your tablet. Maybe that because they might have that those statistics of where you're watching the content from. So maybe that's why they decided to go mobile. That's just my guess on it.
Yeah, I kind of agree. It seems like your market's already there. Why not tap into? We've already got the Netflix app on our phones. Now just make it a game app as well, so that you can boot up the game. Now,
One thing.
is there an install footprint on it?
Right. So my thinking is because the whole lawsuit thing that we covered with Xbox a while back, where Xbox couldn't release an Xbox Game Pass app for iOS because every game would have to have its own individual app or something like that. So Apple could get money from each game or something like that. The whole confusing thing is Netflix going to be allowed to have its own Game Pass app, but Xbox can't, or how is Netflix? Are they just going to release like the Stranger Things game into the App Store, and it's not going to have like its own like Netflix app? Like you can't go to Netflix and play the game from Netflix.
So, and then is it really worthwhile for Netflix to really be branding themselves as a game library, if you will,
or a developer
as
at that
to
point?
just make them into a studio or a publishing house?
Right.
It really confuses me what the plan is with this, and we'll have to keep a closer watch on it coming into this next year here.
Mm-hmm.
How is Netflix going to really develop into the gaming market? Are they going to be a competitor, or are they just going to do their own thing that kind of falls by the wayside?
Right. I'd be curious to see if they show up at E3 next year and actually have their own like standalone conference. Fuck, we've seen Verizon last year, so I think I would rather see Netflix there than Verizon.
Verizon, yeah, exactly. So, we'll definitely be on the watch out for that. But moving on to another big company in the gaming industry, Blizzard. Blizzard is at it again at this point. They have now decided to change something that we don't have in the itinerary here that I will add. Blizzard is on a big changing spree where a lot of Blizzard games have always included names and sort of homages to their developers. The people who made the game wanted to have themselves immortalized in the game. Blizzard is now removing names and characters that are homages to Blizzard developers, as well as they're changing the name of McCree in Overwatch. Doesn't it kind of, to you, feel like we're just doing this to try and, get some good publicity spin, but not actually solve sexual harassment? It's okay to sexually harass, but if you get caught, we're just going to remove the homages to your name.
So it depends on what they do next and what they actually do on their lawsuit and stuff like that. But if I would have to say this is a good beginning, a good start, this is one way to say, because like my guess is that those people may have got paid maybe a bonus because they were in the game. I don't know. I don't know the behind the scenes statistics, but for them to remove or change names of characters that people already know, especially being Overwatch. Overwatch is an esports game. Everybody knows who McCree is, and now you're just going to change the name. Like everyone's still going to call it McCree when they're playing, even though it's going to have this new name. But I think it's a good start. But I definitely agree that they're not focusing on the real problem at hand. But we'll see.
Yeah, so I'm in the camp here that Blizzard is only really digging a bigger hole when it comes to the issues at hand. And that's exactly it, right? I didn't know McCree was named after. So Spooky Crew says, I doubt people associate the character with the man responsible. And the problem at hand is, I didn't know McCree was named after a developer.
Yeah.
I didn't know that there were homages to characters in WoW that were developers. And so, like, are we going to get to the point where, they have an homage to Stan Lee inside of World of Warcraft? You can see him walking around inside the two capital cities for the Horde and the Alliance. And, his character, they made a character for him, and he just walks through the town and talks to you. You can talk to him and stuff. But, like, are we going to stop getting homages to famous people altogether? Like, I thought that was a really good immortalization of somebody who was such into the culture of nerds and people who have influenced. I guarantee people have influenced WoW from the comic book genre. So, like, are we going to stop getting? Oh, we're not going to name anyone after anyone. No homages, nothing. So I'm
Right.
worried, and this comes after Blizzard has been caught burning and disposing of legal records for the company to try and hide sexual harassment cases. So
Right.
we're at the point where Blizzard has tried to deny sexual harassment, shut down unionization that goes against, their better interests. They've protected people on the board. They're now trying to just do PR stunts. Does it feel like we're watching the Titanic sink in real time?
Pretty much. And another thing that I want to cover here is the fact that Call of Duty Vanguard, right? All of its content that we've been seeing, the betas, the trailers, everything, not a single mark or title, anything, anywhere mentioning Activision at all. Because Activision is usually on every trailer at the end, like they showcase like who's developing and publishing. Not a single part of any of their content has showcased the word Activision at all. And I'm curious as this, are the companies that are working with Activision are like, well, we don't want your name to be tarnishing our content. Like, is it starting to affect the outside part, and then in change, if they go their separate ways? Call of Duty is one of Activision's biggest market, if not its biggest part of where they make their most money from. Can you imagine them losing Call of Duty?
Well, and that's the thing.
Of that.
They own the franchise, though. They own the franchise. Activision owns the Call of Duty name and franchise. They just lease publishers or developers to develop the game, and they're the publisher. They own the rights. So who cares what other people think? I think at this point they're just trying to hide their name. So if people are like, I'll play Call of Duty, and then in the back of their mind they forget that Call of Duty is made by Activision Blizzard, not Activision. Activision Blizzard. They're one company now. You cannot forget that. Activision and Blizzard are the same company.
In all of their content, it only says Activision. It never says Activision Blizzard, but I know what you're getting at.
That's correct.
Most people don't know
that. And that's the thing. I think they're trying to remove their name from it so that people don't see, oh, Activision, yeah. Well, fuck them and their sexual harassment. I'm not buying the game. So I think it's bad press to just have their name on anything right now.
Right.
Because Activision Blizzard is in trouble. And for them to have their name on it might tarnish their sales. And I kind of agree with you in that one. I didn't even know that they've been removing their name from stuff.
Yeah, I've been seeing it because I follow a lot of content creators on YouTube and Twitter, and they were really pointing that out. I was like, oh wow. I was like, I'd never even noticed it watching the trailer myself. But I went back and I was like, wow, it's really not there at all. And I was just like, yeah, we definitely got to talk about this on the show because we're seeing it, what they're going through affect other parts of the gaming industry, and if not one of the biggest parts of the gaming industry. Call of Duty, we know, is the biggest game of all time. So it's affecting them. But yeah, I'm definitely curious to see where that goes and whatnot. But anything else from you on our gaming topics before we close out with our deep freeze moment?
No, honestly, the gaming industry has had its up and down this week, but I think looking at, putting aside the Blizzard issues and things that are going on in the world, I think Gamescom was a really big success this year. To me, it blew E3 out of the water, hands down. E3 E3 was like watching a local convention, like going to a local convention in Harrisburg versus like going to Washington D.C. to see a big convention. To me, there is no comparing what we got out of Gamescom versus what we got out of E3. E3, I walked away going, there's nothing cool. There's really nothing in E3 this year. Gamescom, I'm like, oh, I want to play that. 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 I'm so excited. There's games like Dying Light 2. We're talking about, that. I'm excited for that. State of Decay update. I didn't know. Now I'm excited for that. Halo Infinite. Little sad to hear what's going on. Seems like PR stunt just for a bunch of money for their merch. But like, I'm hoping that we got more information on Halo Infinite, and I'm excited about it. Horizon. We've got more information on it. Forza, more information. And TMNT Shredder's Revenge was like the single greatest keystone of my week when I saw that. I was super excited. So no, I definitely think this week was an awesome week in gaming.
Right, and it's crazy to hear that because I remember last week you were like, yeah, Gamescom doesn't come on the one's radar. It's not that big. Blah blah blah. And now hearing your after remarks is
Yeah.
it blew E3 out of the water. It's
Yeah,
pretty
and
cool
that's
to
the
see
thing.
where they're
Like I've never watched Gamescom. I've never knew it existed. I never really followed it, and I've always followed E3. And to see Gamescom be this big was just there were so many cool things to come out of it.
Yeah, because part of it is due to ONL, because ONL is basically becoming big with Keeley, Jeff Keeley. He runs Opening Night Live, and Opening Night Live is for most events. It now hosts the Game Awards at the end of the year. There's it opens up basically E3, but it's a summer of gaming event that happens like the week before E3 begins. And now he also opens up for Gamescom, and he finds a way to get big titles, big news to come to his event. And whatever he's he better keep doing it because all of his events progressively over the last couple of years have gotten better, and he's getting bigger titles and bigger news. Because you think about it, Xbox had its own conference the day before ONL did, right? Before he did. And guess what they did not showcase or even talk about at their show? Halo. Not a mention, not a check us out tomorrow at ONL. Nothing about Halo. And he has Halo on his stage. That is mind blowing to me that he's able to get that kind of power, that kind of content. Because, granted, that was also a business decision because most people are going to watch ONL, the opening of Gamescom, like the day of Gamescom, as opposed to watching his Xbox specific game conference. So it's like two people making big decisions here. He did a big part in selling that. Come to my show, but they also know is more people are going to watch his show as opposed to Xbox is its own individual conference.
Yeah, he's an industry man versus, a specific developer or publisher. So no, I definitely agree that it was huge. It was definitely huge. And I think Gamescom this year really kind of was an upbeat note after, all the stress of the past year and a half we dealt with. Finally seeing the game industry coming back. If it weren't for Activision Blizzard putting a downer on all the news lately, gaming would only be positive all the time. Yeah, it'd only be good news right now.
Right. So, enough of the gaming topics. Kinda. Let's move into our deep freeze moment of the week. Of course, I try to keep these game centric, of course. But the question for us this week is: what is the one game that helped you or made you fall in love with video games? And that means talking about whenever you can remember what made you fall in love with gaming. I'm gonna start with you, Roger. What is that game or games, if you have a couple?
If I'm gonna stick to one game, I think I would have to say probably Pokemon Yellow.
Okay.
Pokemon Yellow taught me that gaming is just what I love. Don't get me wrong. I've had good memories with, Metal Gear Solid on the PlayStation. I've had good memories with Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. I played a ton of Legend of Zelda games, but nothing ever reminded me of the time I had, the childhood for me, playing Pokemon Yellow. Pokemon Yellow, you pick Pikachu, you get into the game, the first gym leader is literally your direct counter, so what do you have to do? You have to sit around and run around and just farm a new Pokemon, and just the time it took me to realize, there was the fact that the game kept me so involved, I was so dedicated to getting through it. And I loved Pokemon Yellow. It was my first real Pokemon game other than Pokemon Blue, I think I had, or Blue or Red.
I had Blue. I don't know if you had Red.
Yeah, then I had. I think I had Red then. Yeah, I had Red and Yellow, and honestly, Red was fine to me, but it was super easy because I picked Bulbasaur, and then I went through the game, got past first gym, and just everything was just a domino effect for me. It was super easy. But Pokemon Yellow was one of those games that I remember it fondly because I spent over 30 hours, in that game, only in the first part of the game, trying to get through the first 4 gyms. Because as a kid, I just was I can't walk in and hit Thunderbolt. Why does Thunderbolt not do anything to Onyx? Who knows?
It's ineffective.
But yeah, it was not effective. And so I think to me, if I was gonna give it a runner-up, I'd say Metal Gear Solid maybe for the PlayStation. Metal Gear Solid was one of those games that taught me adult games are awesome. Like like rated M games were always fun. Even though I got in trouble, I was like, what's really going wrong? Cool, we choked a guy out. Oh no, I choked a guy out. There's guns in here. Like it was such a fun and fascinating game. It taught me that games aren't always like serious or just goofy. Like sometimes they can just be just a meme, a giant meme. Like that's what Metal Gear Solid was to me. And like the fact that like the bad guy would read your save game file and tell you what you've been playing. You're like, as a kid, you're like, the fuck? And that was mind-blowing to me.
Right.
You know, that's something a book isn't going to do. That's something a TV show isn't going to do. You know, they're not going to come on a TV show and be like, I know you were watching this. Like, a game, that at that moment said the game broke the fourth wall and I was, like, we were a player, you know?
Right.
Like, we were a part of it. And I think that, to me, is one of the cool things.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and no, Metal Gear Solid did teach me that I could hide inside a cardboard box and everything would be all right.
It was my safety. No, yeah, for sure.
Safety.
Yeah, I definitely.
So, what about you, Vic?
Yeah, so you kind of took two of my main ones, but I did have a couple of them lined up just in case. But yeah, I definitely agree. But Pokemon was just one of the games that made me fall in love because I was with friends and that like trade and who can collect the most and just like that. Me and you always had opposite like versions of the game and stuff like that. So that was always fun. But to be able to play that on the go, obviously I would play it on my. I had to get additional attachments at the time to play at nighttime because it wasn't a lit up screen. The kids these days.
Yep, I remember. I remember having the light and then going in the car and you're sitting there before the light with the car and you're like, lamp, lamp. And you'd make a move every time there's a lamp. You were like, I can keep going.
Right.
And then sometimes you'd like try to adjust it and you're like hanging towards the window of the car. And,
yes. Yeah, like
no,
that's one of the reasons why I love gaming. And it was just like, we're like sneaking it at night. It's bedtime, right? You got school tomorrow. And you sneaking it up there. Like, once you had the DS or whatever, you're up there playing the game, you're like, oh, here she comes. Pretend to go to sleep. Like, that was fun like, back in the day. Like, gaming meant that much that I had to play it even when I wasn't supposed to be playing the game. And then, like you were talking about, Metal Gear Solid was a big game in my life because it was the game that my mom didn't want me to play. But I got to watch my dad play it all the time until I was like, my mom was like, all right, fuck it, you can play it. So it was like, it was a way for me and my dad to bond too because we and them went over and over and over. And then, like, once you unlock, like, the invisibility perk or glitch or whatever, so you just walk around, like, knocking on shit. They have no idea where you're at because you're invisible. Or the infinite ammo that you can unlock with the bandana. Like, Metal Gear was such an impactful game in my life. And whatnot, but games that I want to touch on that took me to the next level in gaming, I realized that I was really good at gaming, was Call of Duty, starting with World at War because I didn't get into Call of Duty until then. I played the ones like COD 4. I didn't really play much of it multiplayer until I played World at War, but I played COD 1, 2, 3, whatever for a story. But Halo 3 and COD World at War, it's two games that one made me transition to Xbox to begin with. I bought my first Xbox ever because I had PS1, PS2, and then I transitioned to the 360. And those games just made me want to have fun. I had playing with you, Josh, Sean, Dom, everybody who joined us on Xbox playing Halo 3 night after night. Or me and you hopping on Halo and Call of Duty playing zombies. And then when staying up all night long waiting for those DLCs to drop, the new map pack. Like, oh, new map, we're staying up all night. No going to sleep, playing the new map. It was just the pinnacle of my gaming career because that's when it took off, where I became extremely good at Call of Duty. If I could have just focused on Call of Duty, not sports, not school, nothing, who knows where I'd be at right now. I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I was really fucking good at Call of Duty. And then I slowly fell off because I don't play it as much anymore. But those games were ones that made me fall in love with gaming even more and took me to the next level. But yeah, man, what's your thoughts on any?
Now, and like, if we're going on past one game here, I gotta agree. Halo was probably, would be my second or third choice there. It was one of those games, like, after I've been playing games for years and I kind of Understood. Like I loved Final Fantasy X, for example, and that was one of my most favorite games I ever played. Like it was what introduced me to JRPGs. But like if I had to say one game that was like my game, the game I wanted to play beyond, more than anything else all the time was Halo. Whether it was Halo 1, 2, 3, ODST, you know, I Halo was that series that really showed me that I love first person shooters. They're so much fun. I can be creative in Forge. You know, I love the stories. I love the campaigns. I play them. We played the campaigns over and over and so many times. But
Or Legendary.
it was always an awesome game on Legendary. You know, and we are like, you know, I remember us spending an hour punching boxes into place so that we could hide behind them, and we had a literal path that we walked through. Like we would
Yes.
punch boxes into a path, and then we would die and start all over again.
Yes, over and over for an entire weekend. Man, the good old days, man. The good old days. But that's what we love gaming, man. Like we could have these memories, and we're going to continue to make these memories, and I'm looking forward to make these kind of memories with my kids in the future. Like I want my kids to play video games as well. I mean, I'm not going to force them. You have to play games, but I'm gonna show them what games are. I'm gonna let them experience gaming. And if they like it, that's great. And if I can make memories with my kids playing games, I'm going to be 100% happy, completed, like anything else. But
No,
yeah,
I
man.
agree.
Any last comments or remarks before we close out this long episode?
No, no. Thanks for checking us out, guys. Appreciate you coming out. Next week, hopefully, we'll have a little better setup here. Vic's moving this week, and so wish you luck in your move.
Yeah, man. I can't wait. Hopefully, I'll have better lighting, better internet, better mic quality. Who knows what I'll get out of it? But like Roger said, definitely want to thank all the viewers that did show up and check us out live today, and anybody who does check us out later on YouTube. Our plan is to have an episode next Sunday, but I am in the process of moving, so could be a possibility of not having an episode, depending on how that all might go and all that. So definitely check us out hopefully next Sunday at 7 p.m. But Roger, where can we find you at?
You all know where to find me. Twitch.tv/lunatic_oblivion.
And of course, you can check me at Twitter at Mr. Never Chillin_. Xbox is X Never Space Chillin. You want a game, party up, even just talk or whatever, check me out on there. My Facebook is Vic Brubacher. If you want to have questions, concerns, you want to come on, hit me up, or even if you want to become a part of our Discord channel that we just started up, we're definitely going to invite more of our community onto that, so you can stay in touch, play with us, or whatever you want to do. But also, my Twitch channel is twitch.tv/Mr. Never Chillin. But everybody knows I've been streaming here on this channel, X_chill_zone X. If you want to check out any of those gameplays, because I will be streaming Death's Door Part 2, hopefully in the coming days. Other than my move, I might hop on for about an hour tomorrow. But definitely want to thank everybody again. But until next time, peace.
Peace.